Well, welcome everybody to the Season 3 Q&A Nighttime. Glad you could join us, and we're glad we could join us.
Nighttime. That's the theme song.
It seems like the world is against this nighttime being recorded. Because we've tried recording this...
like a couple times now.
Yeah.
Well, we've just tried recording in general a couple times.
Yeah.
True.
And we've had babies that don't sleep. We've had us sleeping when we shouldn't sleep.
Yeah.
We've had hospital visits.
Yeah.
Jamie broke his foot.
Yeah, I'm like a bionic man
out of his
now.
foot.
Yeah, I have metal limbs now. It's sort of cool.
Damn, that was quick.
Yeah.
Oh, that's actually super cool.
Yeah. That's not a joke, by the way. I have a titanium rod in my leg. I don't know if I told you guys that.
Yeah, no, I was surprised that happened so quickly.
Right.
Because I figured that would happen with a compound fracture, but...
Yeah, I got there at like 8 or 9 in the evening, I believe. And they ran tests and did stuff pretty much all night. And then they were like, yeah, you've got surgery at 7 a.m. So, like, there you go. Send us on your way. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Expedite that shit.
It was kind of amazing.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
This is also the first Night's Quest episode I've recorded in my new apartment.
Whew.
Yeah, and that might not sound that wild, you guys, but you got to remember that, like, the previous, I don't know how many dozens of episodes have all been recorded in the same place on all three ends. Me in the attic, Nathan's basement, and Jake's house. And now we're finally changing that up. It's really been many years coming, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, because before, when we weren't in person, it was like you two in your shared apartment and me in my apartment, like down the street.
Yeah.
All of us in the apartment, you know.
All at Jamie's house.
Yeah.
Right,
There was a couple recorded at your house, Jake.
Yep.
I
Yeah,
remember that.
the dick to dick.
Well, no, even before that. Like the sim episodes were at your house.
Yeah.
Before the dick to dick.
I still see that building all the time because I deliver pizzas there, and it's just like, aw.
And then there was the Terevian ones that we did up in my room where it was actually hot.
Yeah, it was super hot.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Oh my god.
That's how I remember that one. So anyway, and Jamie's not in the attic. He's on a couch.
Yeah.
Because of his robot leg.
Exactly.
So if audio sounds different, there you go.
That's probably why.
But we're also here to answer your questions.
The burning questions.
From viewers like you. Thank you. Did I make that exact same joke last time? Probably.
Maybe.
Go back and check.
Do it. You won't.
I dare you.
So yeah, we have accrued quite a few questions. So we're going to try to get through as many as we can, but I know we won't get through all of them. And so patrons know that we're probably going to save a lot of yours for a Patreon specific episode. So if we don't answer it, we'll get to it in that one.
And if you want to hear more juicy questions, you know how to find them.
What does that mean?
It means join our Patreon, you cowards.
Oh.
That makes it sound like we have a secret, like, not safe for work.
Yeah, it sounds like we have OnlyFans is what that sounds like, which we don't.
That's just a regular show. It's called Every Fans.
Every
we
Fans
say
is good.
Rude and salacious things and tell you to go fuck yourself.
That is a shockingly good summation of the entire show, actually. Yeah.
That's it right there. Boys, I'll let you pick. Do you want to start with a serious personal question or a silly question?
Let's start it off serious.
Sure.
Let's start off serious.
Yeah, why not?
Okay. This one was sent in by Most Likely Reading 12 on Instagram.
Okay.
And they said, when you look back at the whole story, what is a part that is particularly compelling personally?
Okay.
So which part compels you? It's a good question. Thank you for that question.
Yeah.
I feel silly when it's stuff that's like my own characters, but a lot of stuff with like Bartuk early on, and especially like the dungeon, all of the weird rooms and creatures, like we could have spent an entire season in that dungeon. And that was like the whole point. But there were so many unanswered questions and so many like weird things, and even like what Quis was doing behind the scenes that we didn't see. And that was all very titillating to me, that there was like so much mystery and magic and and stuff going on. And with Bartuk having, I mean, Tareeb in general started off on such a high note with, like with Raish on top of the gate and the mystery with the blades and having Katrina's parents like whole thing being
absolutely yeah.
So you're a big fan of season 2, is what I'm hearing.
Yes, but specifically, I would say like Bartuk and the dungeon.
Sure,
absolutely, yeah. I would zero in on Katrina, Salazar, and Celeste specifically. There's some moments, there's some conversations that I found so captivating between the three of them, and I think it was because these scenes that you guys ended up putting together did such an interesting job of taking like the situation of broken family, like things have happened in the past, right? And suddenly we were looking at it from each person's perspective, and we were getting different angles on everything that had happened. And it wasn't fully balanced because nothing is perfectly balanced. So it's not like everyone is partially wrong. It wasn't like that. It was much more personal. And there was so much like, look at how this happened from Katrina's perspective of her being a kid. Look at how this happened from Celeste's perspective of like what she wanted out of her life versus what actually happened. And even getting Salazar a lot more depth than we would have expected at the beginning, you know? Yeah. That combination, and those shifting ways of looking at it made for such interesting, it made for great TV. It was just like, I mean, I keep wanting to use TV metaphors and say I couldn't look away, but like I couldn't turn my ears away, I guess. Yeah.
Right. For sure. Something that popped in my mind is anytime we just had like real conversations, like real relationship or just people to people convos.
Definitely.
Those were always something like, you know, the Bartukas Ajax at the end or the Gorg and Eloise. I'm always just like, how did we do this?
How did I date Nathan so many times?
Yes. I think for me, the part that was the most compelling for me. Wow. Great sentence, Nathan.
I love it. It's my favorite sentence.
Say me one more time.
For me, the whole writer-hero dynamic.
Good.
I mean, that's obviously why I created that religion in the first place in this world, is because I think it's so interesting. There's so many layers to it, and like the deep lore of the story of like, okay, who's really in charge? What did the writer really want? Was Mirjik the bad guy? You know, who was the antagonist of the story? Like those like deeper questions. I was so intrigued by it. I was really happy when we got to it.
Yeah.
And I could see other people wrestling with those questions too on Discord or in conversation that I had. Because I'm like, those are the ones I've been wrestling with for a long time.
Right.
And I think I have answers to, but I don't want to have an answer to, you know? I want to play with that.
We had a lot of deep discussions towards the end there on many topics.
Definitely.
In media res.
That's true. In real life, yeah.
So at the risk of taking up time away from other questions, I would put as a follow-up to that, Nathan, did season 3, the ending, thematically and what we talked about and how we experienced it, did that shape up the way you expected it to?
Oh my gosh. Yes and no.
Okay.
No, I didn't expect any of that.
Okay.
But yes, it was perfect. Because like, so what I'm about to say is my perspective on this, but do not take this as the right perspective. Right. If this is not how you, the viewer, interpreted this, then that is not what it was. But this is how I interpreted it as a viewer and the editor and a actor in it.
Yeah.
Was I viewed the writer as the antagonist of this story. If Rainer's the protagonist, the writer was the one who opposed you the whole time.
From the beginning?
Well, probably not the whole beginning. I think at the beginning the writer did want to work with you. But then once it became clear that you're like, no, I hate this. Especially once it became the part where like writer through Mirjik said you need to do something. I'm going to destroy your hometown.
Yes.
That's for sure when I was like, yep, this is where there's now an antagonistic force here. And so I always knew the real finale would be Rainer versus Hero, not Rainer versus Mirjik.
Interesting.
Which is why I had that, we fought Mirjik, but it's not the end. There's still a few more episodes.
Right.
So I knew that'd always be the case, but I didn't know how you would end it. I never wanted to pick that ending. I really did. And that's where me and the writer overlapped, is I truly wanted you to make the decision.
Yeah.
I didn't want to write the ending.
Yeah.
And so when you said, "Oh, I'm going to say and be the hero," I was like, "Well, great." And I remember Jamie and we finished that call, and I went, "I kind of got like a weird feeling from Rainer, but whatever." And Jamie just goes, interesting. Oh, weird. And I had no idea.
That's so bizarre that you felt that way.
Yeah, he was going to do this weird twist. And so then he pulls that twist, and in that moment I go, this is incredible. This is a perfect twist. This is going to be so crazy in the world to have Rainer be Music Spirit. And then Jake goes, nope.
No.
Which I'm not mad at him in any way, because that's exactly what Jonathan would do.
Yeah.
That's exactly what Jake would do. I mean, you did do it, not knowing the conversation that was just had about Mirjik and about who Rainer was. And so, of course, he would go, "What? No, we're not making you be Mirjik. Reverse that. Undo it."
Yeah.
And so then in character, I even said it. I'm like, "Oh, you've been pacified by the person who doesn't know what's actually going on." Like it's almost like the Matrix convinced Neo to say, "No, you don't need to do that." Like it pulled you back in. And so in that way, like the writer got everything he wanted. You know, he got a really interesting story. He's still totally in control and no one opposes him. And he's going to keep doing what he's been doing. But also, Rainer kind of got what he wanted, mostly what he wanted.
I'm willing to say that that's true. I'm more interested in the way that Jonathan and Katrina played into that, though, because Jonathan had the reverse of thing itself, but Katrina was the one who I think put it into words. I mean, Jonathan did speak later, but Katrina also put it into words of like everything you're talking about, everything you are waxing dramatic and angsty about doesn't, like, to the rest of us, we just have lives. We don't have this big, crazy, complicated thing that you have. We just have this. Like, we just have the world we're experiencing. And you have lost sight of that. And that is not only a fascinating angle to look at this scene from, but it's a necessary one. Yeah. Because all of a sudden, the tone of the episode shifts into, oh my god, we've gotten so far off the deep end that we've lost track of, like, the real humanity of these characters. Or at least Rainer had. I can't speak for you guys, but at least Rainer had, right? And not only does that, not only did I find that balanced out the three of us really well in terms of all having crazy contributions to this, but also thematically, that was like one of the most heartfelt things I could have ever imagined for that scene. Because suddenly you weren't just dealing with these monolithic figures in mythological, these crazy displays of power. It came down to real ordinary people and like deciding, I am going to live my life and care about my friends. And that being like the most powerful thing, and that being the final big action of the story, it's incredible. I mean, it's heartbreaking. That was one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
It's funny you mentioned the Matrix, because I was thinking about that after the fact of in the first Matrix, and I don't remember the name of the character, but it's the kind of grungy looking guy who decides to turn on the crew of the Nebuchadnezzar to be put back into the Matrix and live the lie.
Yeah. Oh my god. This is going to bug me.
But he knew about the Matrix, so that's a little different.
Yes. Yeah. But
Jonathan didn't know.
Right. Right. But it's that same feeling of like, it's that question of like, is the reality of what's going on more important than living?
Right.
Okay.
Or is
having this peaceful world better than actually being free?
Right.
Because that's what Rainer got. Rainer got his happily ever after back at home with his dad, which is what he had always wanted. Well, except for he had always wanted for the writer to stop messing with everybody. And he didn't get that.
Yeah. Yes.
Or maybe not always, but he...
But again, like, I think the key difference between this and something like The Matrix, Jonathan and Katrina, they were right. Like, in so many ways, on a very spiritual level, I feel like they were right to say, like, your dad cares about you. Right. Like, we care about you. We care about each other. We have our own stories to tell. Like, I feel like the message I took away from the finale was Rayner, I'm I'm rambling about the subject for way too long. What I took away from the finale was Rayner saying, I'm going to sacrifice everything for the sake of breaking away from the writer was the wrong choice. That's what I took away from it, honestly. And I think that made it better. Like, I think that made it more engaging than what I had planned.
See, and that's actually what I want to end this discussion on.
Sure.
Is I don't know. I don't know whether that was the right choice. Because on one hand, you know, the way it ended could be the right choice. Within the world, it absolutely was, right? You get to be with your friends, you finish the quest, there's not this giant spirit war that's starting up again, right? It's great. But on one hand, Rayner was right. Like, there could have also been a world where he stayed Mirjik, he opposed the writer, and maybe that results in the lover getting freed, or in there being less of these stories where, you know, there's less wars and less whatever being done to just make an interesting story. You know, maybe that was the right thing. And to remember, too, that his dad was being controlled by the writer.
Yeah.
And so to say, like, your dad really does love you. Well, he does. Like, that character definitely does. But that's also the writer controlling him to do that. So, like, is that still him loving you? Yes. No. So, like, that's, to get back to the source question, that's what compels me. Like, deeper question. And as a religious studies kind of guy, this is my jam, right? These are the things that I love to think about.
Right.
And I want to be clear too, my actual theological views of how I think the world is do not line up with the fictional world I've made. They are not. Let this be clear. This is not how I view the God I worship.
The opinions and theological treatises in this Q&A do not represent the actual the
writer is not the Christian God for me. He is very different. He has some similarities, but a lot of differences.
Some very big differences, yeah.
Some very big differences. And I could go into that as a whole hour-long discussion on how I inserted my theological views into Knight's Quest.
I'm at least 90% sure that Jesus didn't go around asking people their sexual orientation. But I can't be sure. I haven't read the whole thing.
He doesn't. He does not. So that's actually, people be surprised. Jesus does not be like, so you gay? He doesn't do that. He don't do that. Okay. Do we want another serious or silly?
Let's just hop around.
Yeah.
Let's hop around.
I kind of like the idea of starting with a big one like that and even possibly ending with another big one, but we don't have to.
Can I pick one?
Can you pick one?
Yeah.
Oh, because you've got the list?
Yes.
Nice.
Sure, you can pick one.
In a battle royale, who would win out of the cast, and why are the final two Katrina and Leroy?
Okay. That was sent by Drew on Discord.
Should I also have the list pulled up? It didn't even occur to me until now.
Because I have them sorted by type,
okay,
and I've bolded the ones we have to do in this episode.
Good. I love that one so much that I couldn't not bring it up, and it was, yes.
It's a great question.
Okay. So, thank you, Drew, for that question. First of all, Katrina obviously makes it to the final two of a battle royale.
Yeah.
But Leroy,
that's a tough one.
I need to be convinced on why Leroy makes it to the final two.
Here's my 2 cents. I think Leroy, through no intention of his, like, okay, have you guys played any battle royale games?
Yeah, I've played Fortnite and such.
Okay. So there are a few different strategies, but one of them is just kind of like, through, whether intentional or not, just kind of bumble through and not really meet anybody or fight anybody until.
So he would just win by luck and chance.
I feel like Leroy has this innate ability to just end up where he needs to be, probably without trying.
Okay, let me run through the main 10. Rayner would not make it. He couldn't make enough decisions fast enough. He'd get shot. Done. Grog could make it, but maybe not because he's too much of a tryhard. Maybe
also,
that's
he's making too many friends. He can't win.
That's true.
Yeah,
he can't kill off all friends. Yeah,
you're not going to get you far in a battle royale. Yeah,
Trouble's not just. He's not going to be skilled enough. He's going to be excited, but he's not going to be able to do it.
He's going to be too busy climbing trees.
Yeah,
that would help him. That would serve him well if it's like a Hunger Games type of battle royale. But in other kinds,
I feel like Jonathan could pull it off though. Jonathan's got the gumption and the thinky powers and the tricky powers,
but maybe not the motivation.
you know what? He wouldn't have the motivation. That's fair. He just wouldn't care enough.
Yeah.
All right, you know what? I've been persuaded to Katrina and Leroy. If we're sticking to the main 10.
Right, you went with a process of elimination style approach to your answer.
Well, that's how you battle royale.
Battle royale, yeah.
That's fair enough, yeah. Absolutely.
Abil would be... he can't fight. I'm sorry.
I think Eloise and Katrina would have a really, like a gentleman's duel. Like, they'd have a really hard time duking it out, but I think Katrina would come out on top because she's a professional.
Yeah. Raish, I feel like him and Katrina would maybe be doubles for a while, but then Katrina would be more cutthroat. I think she would take him out. I don't think Raish could take her out.
Yeah, I think so too.
I hate to say it, Raish is a simp.
Yeah.
You heard it here first, folks.
CYMP.
CYMP. Oh my god.
Yes, I'm a member of the Simplicity. I'm a simp.
Simps in the chat.
Incredible. Oh man, I'm so disappointed we didn't get that in the main show. Calling the disciples of Sim the simps? Are you kidding me? That's gold.
So good. And that, you know what? And that's why no one joined in the epilogue. That's why right there. Because he's like, you want to be a simp? And everyone's like, no.
No thanks.
No, thank you.
Oh my god.
Beautiful.
Okay, my answer is Katrina wins because we have always associated her with competency throughout the entire show. That is like the core thing that gets associated with Katrina, right? And Leroy wins because I think I'm still picturing this as like Hunger Games or the book Battle Royale or whatever. So I'm picturing it like with the just weird shit that happens. I think Leroy accidentally kills Jonathan at some point, and he gets the disguise kit.
Oh.
And he ends up pretending to be fill in the blank, and that causes enough chaos that he somehow ends up on top. That's how it goes in my mind.
Using his cake baking skills.
Yes.
Hey, wait a minute.
Just
That's exactly what happens. Holy shit. I think we're onto something here. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's literally PETA and Katniss.
Guys, did we just accidentally do Hunger Games again?
Oh shit, we just did a Hunger Games. Every time it always goes back to
every single fucking time.
Yeah.
It's Hunger Games all the way down.
Damn.
I've got a category of questions that I clarified that I'm calling plot clarification.
Ooh, okay.
We're like, oh, what was this about in the plot?
Yeah.
So I think we can go through these semi-quickly.
Sure.
But we'll see. We'll start with this one. This was from Leprechaun Boy on Discord. Thank you for being an absolute legend.
Yeah.
Many of these are from you. The question is, don't know if I interpreted this right, but did Quis become a legend in the 100 Mile City, Varden? Because they all saw him do the really big magic on the heart of Anima. And that's why they were able to set up his school there with his inheritance.
That never occurred to me that people could have just seen that whole interlude happen.
No, they weren't asleep by that point.
No, they were awake at that point. Yeah.
Oh,
they were awake.
Okay.
I say sure.
That's kind of
I say
great.
that probably contributed.
Yeah. Honestly, at the time, never crossed my mind, but that's brilliant. Yeah.
They probably wouldn't have known it was Quis until after the fact because they wouldn't have been able to see who did the magic.
Yeah.
Right.
Everyone probably was like, who did that? That wasn't us. That wasn't you. And then when they finally go, hey, we want to start a school for this guy. Who is he? Oh, he just did this. Oh, then yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Because
he really did do some of that interpretive magic.
Yeah.
In that fight, even.
No, absolutely.
I think with how he did sweep.
That's probably how he did most of the things he did, honestly. Like, Raynor's song of making people fly, that wasn't a thing until Quis had the ingenuity to be like, hey, yes. I have this idea.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, next one, also from Leprechaun Boy in Discord. What really happened to the potential war? Did Noble Mincer actually broker peace?
Sorry?
The war with Cordia?
Not the war with Cordia. The war between Rillian and Glenwood after the assassination of the magistrate of the beacon.
When Katrina framed, there was a fake note, charts. Right? There was like a note at the scene. Oh my gosh. Leprechaun Boy remembers this better than I do, yeah.
And that's why he was in Varden, was as a ambassador to try to be like, hey guys, we don't need to do a war.
Oh my god, that's right. I forgot about this.
A war, so I will say this, a war does not break out at this point in time between the two countries. I don't want to give Noble Mincer credit for that.
I don't think he did anything.
I think it was mainly the other stuff that just went down, and Rillian's like, nah, man, we got to worry about this. But I think if Nobleminster had any impact, it was because they saw him and how much of a dunce he is, and they thought, they sent this guy? Yeah, there's no way they orchestrated an assassination. There's no way that this is their guy that they send.
Incredible.
They couldn't have done it. It must have just been the burn shards on their own. So that's I was going to say my fan theory, but I tell the story. So that's right. It's canon now, bitch.
So now I want to slight caveat. Nathan does not credit Nobleminster for stopping this. Nobleminster does credit Nobleminster. Sure.
Yes. And I think maybe even like some people in Glenwood, they're like, well done. Hey, good job, Noble. You did it.
Excellent.
And that doesn't help at all.
I was like, on what?
Oh, yes. The thing I did.
Yeah, I did that.
I really love the idea of so many of these characters that we've like poured our hearts into, having these arcs and how they've changed and how their goals and wants have changed. And Nobleminster, like episode 1 to episode 1, is exactly the same dude.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone else has changed except Nobleminster. No change. And
I really like that.
We love him for that. Next one in this section. What happened to the Sacred District? Did Salim still have it? Also from Leprechaun Boy.
Oh, God. Yeah, we never tied that one up, did we?
I think he does. Because why would he not have it? I think we might get more on that. Maybe we might get more on that. Patrons. You never know. The next one is from Kat on Facebook. Why were Leroy's parents/family obsessed with Mirjik? I think I said it was because they had been using the special grain and had seen him in a dream or in a vision. And we're like, yo, it's a spirit. If we can get in touch with this guy, we can get like more power.
Yeah, they like happened into this like understanding of a higher spirit. And they were like, oh shit, if we can like harness this.
Yes. So I think it was just, I don't think they fully understood who Mirjik was. Like, I don't think anyone in the family really unlocked it until Leroy.
I could see that.
Now, if they had learned more, would that have changed their minds? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe they might have got more excited. But I don't think that'll be the last of the bakers. I kind of like to just now think all bakers are like secret people.
For sure, for sure. They're all secret people.
They're all secret-y people. All right, the last one in this category. How did you come up with the idea of the strings? And did the different colors actually correlate to any particular god, creature, idea? Also from Kat on Facebook.
Right.
Okay, well, answer that first part.
Yeah.
And then I want to see if you guys know the answer to the second part. Strings is easy. Just puppets. You know, puppets with strings. They got no strings on me.
Yeah.
And I was trying to flesh out the religion of riderism more. And I pictured him having the founding prophet, Anders Duane, having this vision of someone getting a string cut. It was never supposed to be a literal thing. It was just like a metaphorical thing. But then I think even it was during recording. Oh yeah, it had to do with when we first met like Mirjik. I was like, but what if it was real?
Ooh, okay.
That'd be fun. And so then I kind of let that play loose, and then I was like, oh, but what would that actually mean? How would I? And then I was like, oh, I can use this to drop clues for something I want to reveal later on.
Yeah.
So that's how I then leaned into that. And so, boys, what do the different colors correspond to?
Rainer controls which ones?
Well,
because it was said in the finale.
Yeah, the writer said there was one color that was just Rainer, and I think he literally meant like that was the only string, was Rainer's string. Was the only one he controlled. And I don't remember what color it was. It might have been gold.
Okay. Yeah, and then the blue ones were controlled by another...
Yeah. Yeah.
A moi.
That's right.
That was very, very tongue-in-cheek. I like that.
All of Jake's characters.
Yeah, so the silvery ones are controlled by me.
Okay.
The blue ones are controlled by Jake. And the gold ones are controlled by Jamie.
It's very meta.
Which, there were a couple. You know, Trouble had a gold string.
Oh, yeah. I guess that makes sense.
Rainer didn't actually have a string, so...
Oh, that's right.
Rainer was Pinocchio.
I forgot about that.
And yes, that is all the way in season 1.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. And I remember this because it kept popping up when I was looking through the music tracks. The first time the strings show up is when Quis and Leroy are exploring the Hidgety, I want to say the library.
Yeah, with Reader McKellen.
And the reader, yes. And they see, like, such a creepy scene that I feel like served that symbolism really well. Because the symbolism of a person with, like, strings pulling their actions is just instantly... It's like shorthand for, oh, this is creepy and weird, you know?
Yeah, it's
like,
sinister,
it's really good for a sinister scene. So that stuck out very much in season 1. I really liked how that turned out.
Yeah, and I think the colors show up when we're in Costa Rica.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, with how many times the bread and the amulet are used.
So that's when we start seeing some blue ones. I don't obviously do the gold one, I think, until season 3 when we have trouble around. I was like, oh shoot, I need another color.
Makes sense.
Interesting, okay.
Yeah, so the whole time, it was 3 spirits controlling all these people.
The whole time?
The whole time.
Always has been.
That was actually a thing when I first thought about how the seasons would work out, is at the end of season 1 or 2, that would be the reveal. It's like, you've been spirits the whole time. And then we'd go to different stories and you'd control different people in those stories.
Okay.
But that never panned out.
Right,
I don't think I want that to continue moving forward.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be in every story we do. It's just these 3 Fae controlling all the people. I think that might end up hindering us.
Yeah.
So
just to
don't read into that.
Just quick make sure I'm not misunderstanding. You're not saying that you had pictured one of your characters and one of Jake's characters to also be spirits in the end.
No, It was more like Nathan, am the spirit, the writer.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then Jake is a spirit that we never met. We never met that spirit.
Sure, yeah. All right.
That Fae. We never met him.
I see.
Do you guys have more questions in response to that question?
I think the only question that I would have is, did your idea, because you had the strings since season 1, but did your idea of what the strings represented or how they worked, or did your perception of the strings change between season 1 and the finale?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
I think, and I knew you guys were always going to be spirits from the beginning. Like, that was a day one thing. So was Oliver. That was a day one thing.
Right. He felt the most NPC out of all of the characters.
He did. Right, he really did. I think it did change a little bit because, like I said, I initially didn't think they were literal. And then I was like, no, I think they should be as a clue.
Gotcha.
And because it's a cool story thing. Like, oh, that's interesting, you know? And then, adding a golden one, that was added. Having the idea of, like, how they worked was definitely fleshed out throughout the whole time.
Right.
Like having that be like vibrations and being able to see them being tugged. And because I was like, how do I use these to give you clues to what's actually going on? So then I had to add more meat to that concept instead of just, I don't know, their strengths.
Those probably went right over my head, honestly. Because like in season 3, I devoted a lot of time to my own personal project about what Raynor was going to do. But before then, I was not using my brain to try to figure stuff out. I was literally just like, what is Raynor going to do next? Like, I was not putting brain power into, like, actually solving shit.
Which I think segues into our next question. Also from Kat on Facebook, who asked, what other parts of the characters' stories do you wish you would have been able to explore during the story?
Oh man.
Sure. Okay, yeah.
I really wanted to see some Daddy Bismarck time. Like, I really wanted to see some time of Jonathan with his dad's side of the family and kind of see how the Bismarcks worked. Because
we almost did that too.
Yeah, right. And I thought that would have made a more hard-hitting reunion if Jonathan were to go and, like, see the family business, air quotes business, happening.
Yeah, with fresh eyes.
Yeah. And have, you know, his own accolades kind of shown up to them or held up against, you know, his family and see how he leveled up. But I'm still super happy with the way we went with it.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. The only thing that was difficult about that whole plot line was like knowing that we had little time left, you know? Like in every other way, it was so fun and engaging, but there was always at the back of my mind, like, this is going to be gone too soon, you know?
Right. Oh my gosh. All the stuff in Varden, that could have been 40 episodes. I mean, there's so much we could have done there.
Yeah.
but I just knew that we got to end the season. And so I was like, we can't.
Right.
Maybe Market Mark. I want to know more about Market Mark.
I know. There's so many side characters I wanted more of. Market Mark.
Yeah.
I wanted to know more about the Mercantile War.
Yeah.
That was the thing I wanted.
Oh, you know what I wanted to know more about? The freaking Ghost Army that showed up and
Reeve.
and relived a fight that had happened centuries ago. And just I would. The desert itself had so many fascinating qualities and so much. It felt so much, and this is exactly what you want in a story like this, or even in a video game. It felt so much like this is an area where we have explored and found cool stuff, but we've barely scratched the surface, you know?
Yeah.
And that was really cool. That was really fun.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of places, because for me, when I build this world, I build big strokes. Mm-hmm. There's a war here, there's a country here, there's a desert here. And then as I get ideas of just through watching media and things like that, I'll plop them in places that makes sense here. That could go here. And then, but I don't really flesh it out until in play. Like things like this, or if I play with other people. And so then it just gets me excited. And then I go, I want to dive in. And so then in my own time, maybe I'll write a short story about that one thing, or be I want to figure out what happens next. And so then I'll write it. And so I get inspired through these things.
Right.
Yeah, to answer that question, I think I wanted more Raish.
Oh, okay.
I think out of the 10, I think he was the one we got to explore the least.
Yeah, and he had the coolest entry to the group.
He did. And part of me feels like I really neutered the character. He was this super cool assassin guy, and then he just became just awkward.
Yeah. But I think that was also because he was out of his element. I don't think we saw enough of Raish doing assassin stuff.
That's true. That's true.
And I think we saw more of Raish being put into social situations which he is not used to.
Right.
Which is where the humor was, too.
Definitely.
So that's why we did it. Also, Abil's character, I went back and re-listened to stuff in the middle of episode 2, or season 2, excuse me, and he is so different. He used to be so whiny. His voice also changed on accident a lot. It was a lot deeper originally.
Wow, okay.
And it got higher pitched.
Huh.
Anyway, that's not relevant to that question at all. That's just something that changed.
The keeper of the gate, for sure.
Oh, yeah. That whole scene was really cool. Just it was a lot of description, but in a really, really fun way. Because you had the desert itself, and you had the sandworms, and you had what setting up their little camp looked like, and how they were using magic to do all of that. And you had the almost festival-like atmosphere of what the dinner was like, and there was songs, and they did a better presentation at one point, and that was all before the keeper even gave her whole speech about this is kind of my whole deal, and this is what I'm imparting onto Eloise, and that whole sequence was really cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of things I want to explore more in. Here's another question for Lauren on Discord. How do you balance representing females in the show when you don't have any females actually playing and in the show?
Yo.
This was before we actually had a female in the show.
Right.
Okay.
But she goes on, do you research, go off of what you have seen, or, from friends, family, spouses have shared? Not saying you're doing a bad job. I think you're doing great. So again, that's from Lauren. And we could also probably talk about that whole experience too of having a fourth person, but we'll get into that.
Yeah. This, that has encapsulated so much of my stress and fear of doing female characters, is because I don't want to do them wrong. And I think, because in my head, I always worry about that trope of male authors writing female characters in the most basic of ways. And I think it helps that I've had so many awesome friends throughout life who are females. That was a weird way of saying that. Let me start over. I think it helps to just to be able to have awesome people around you and be able to take inspiration from cool people,
right? And
just approach the character as a person, as a personality, as a human being, instead of as a female,
right.
But not lose sight of femininity, because that was something that was I had to differentiate Katrina and Eloise, and both of them were both of them were strong in their own ways, but also both of them had aspects of their characters that were like characteristically feminine, and that just manifested itself in different ways. But it wasn't like unnatural for it to happen because that was who they were. Mm-hmm. It wasn't because they were a woman. It was because like that's a thing that a person does, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I was constantly asking for validation. For, like, people who listen to the show, I was like, hey, so I am a man and I am not a woman. Right. And I just want to make sure that,
you're doing this good.
Yeah. Is this bad?
Yeah. That's something I think, echoing what you said, is just trying to play these characters like real people, not as tropes or as like what I've seen maybe in other media.
Yeah.
I think she's like, this is a real human being.
Right.
Who this is their gender. And sometimes that's really relevant to who they are. And sometimes that's not.
Just like in life.
Yeah, just like in life. So just trying to play them like real people. And I think that we've talked about this in a few previous Q&As, but I think that's what we strive at, is when we play a character, we like get in their head of like, what would they do in this situation? Right, and that leads to, I think, our best moments.
Well, with my wealth of experience and the many female characters I've played on this show, I feel very qualified to answer this. That would have been funnier if I said it at the beginning, actually. It's less funny now that we're moving on to a different question, yeah.
It's true. We are moving on to a different question. Okay, this next question was sent in to us by Fanimated Podcast on Instagram.
Yeah. Oh, man.
A whole podcast?
Go check them out. Yeah, the podcast, yeah. Go follow them on Instagram, Fanimated Podcast.
Yes.
And listen to their podcast, because they will be creating content.
And we are also in some of that.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I was so excited. We watched Hunchback of Notre Dame, and I was like, man, I love this movie. Oh,
it's so good.
I should tell Kelly I want to be in a Hunchback episode. And then I realized it was like one of the first ones they did.
Yeah, I'm sure they've already done.
And then I just listened to it. And it was
I listened to Heaven's Light, Hellfire constantly.
Dude, I'm about to turn this into a Fanimated episode because you said that. I'm about to talk about the beauty of that song, but I'm not going to. Let's read the question.
Yeah.
The question is, what will you miss most about this campaign?
Oh, man.
Thank you, Kelly.
That's a tough one for sure.
Miss most?
Yeah.
I've kind of talked a little bit about this in the real world and not necessarily on recording, but I will find it very hard to put these characters down because each character has a piece of me in it, and each character is a manifestation of some part of me. And whether I have experienced like specific situations or not, like working through these situations through these characters has been a very personal experience.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to think that I won't be like living Jonathan or Katrina or Eloise or a rando from the Beacon, you know, like these like magical places that we've created, and these like silly one-off characters like Market Mark or the Jungle,
the Weaving Dancers.
You know, it's just I think for me it's going to be the characters, and I know we're going to have great characters again, but because like so much of because I cared so hard about these characters, it's going to be hard to put them down for a while.
Let Jamie think, but I'm going to say the same thing. These characters, because we're going to be in the world, we're going to be telling stories, we're going to be the three of us. Like, so all those things are staying here. The only thing that we're losing are these characters. Yeah. And for me, they are. I think I have a different relation to them than you do, Jake. For me, they're like the voices I use for them are so iconic for me. Like the Leroy voice before he had that name, it was just a voice I did when I got frustrated. I was like, "Ah, dang it!" You know, like that would come out.
Right.
You know, the Grog voice is an easy, just my gruff voice. You know, Abil's was kind of created.
You worked through that.
Yeah.
Right.
Who am I missing? Oh my gosh,
so many.
Raish.
Yeah,
that's what I forgot. It was Raish. But yeah, they were just so easy for me to do and to become those characters. It was just so natural that I am genuinely nervous about the new characters. Like, oh, what voices am I going to pick? Are they going to sound natural? They're going to be easy for me to do? Are these characters going to be natural for me to play? And I think they will, because we've done it. You know, I think the one shots were a test for me and for you, the audience, to see, can we do other stories with other characters?
Yeah.
And the answer is 100% yes. And so many of those one shots, I want to go, can we do this forever?
Yeah.
Right.
So I know we'll be okay, but it's, you know, it's a big loss that we've done for a long time, and I'm going to miss them.
Springboarding off of that, because it's funny you mentioned Abiel. I'm re-listening to season 1 again, and Abiel's like vocal transition happens in the exact same way that Jonathan's vocal transition happens. Because Jonathan was originally just me, just my voice. And at some point, he became this weird, like, New York, like, gruff person. And it just happened. It just changed during the episodes. And it wasn't a choice that I made. It just happened.
Yeah. Going back to old episodes is jarring of like, that's not
for sure.
that character voice. Like, if you go back to back, you're like, it's a different character.
I think I agree with both of you guys. I think the thing I will miss the most is Jonathan. That his fucking impressions,
iconic.
But
Thank you.
But like for real, the Nathan, when you were talking about how like the thought of coming up with new characters and not being sure of how they're going to be received, of how the voices are going to work, how the stories are going to work, and having that kind of uncertainty. I think this is either going to be a super deep and interesting answer or the biggest cop-out ever. The thing I'm going to miss the most is, like, having that story already behind us. Like, having that, like, being at the forefront of it and continuing it, as opposed to starting something brand new.
Oh, yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Like, all for starting brand new things, 10 out of 10. But at the same time, there is something that I'm going to miss a lot about, like, okay, we're jumping in and we know who these characters are and our fans know who these characters are and we're continuing the thing.
Yes.
And there is something kind of nerve-wracking and weirdly lonely about letting go of that, I think. And
there's safety, there's comfort in having things known.
Yeah.
Well, and that's like when you watch a TV show, like you turn on Friends again or The Office again, because you know those characters. You don't have to get to know them. When you start a new show, you need to get to know who are these characters? How do they know each other?
Yeah.
And so there's a comfortability of watching a show you're familiar with, even if it's a new episode. You know what the show is going to be like.
Yeah.
And so for all of us, we're going to be getting to know new characters, and it's like meeting new friends. Like, am I going to like these new friends? I don't know. Let me see. And then you will, but you're
right.
trepidatious.
It's a weird comparison, but are you guys familiar with American Horror Story?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I know that it's like different stories, but very often the same actors in different roles.
Yeah. And so that's what I imagine is like each season is a different setting, time period, story, but the cast remains largely intact.
Oh, okay.
And that will be the same for us, yeah.
Right.
And so like you're familiar with the people, but you don't know if you're going to like the characters.
Right.
Or the story. And then, like, in season 4, they did a weird thing where they were like, oh yeah, all the stories are connected, like, canonically. And I'm like, oh, but okay.
Really?
I don't know if I like that. And that's what I worry about.
Sure. In one regard, yes, all our stories will be connected canonically because they're in the same world.
Yes.
But I will be dropping and it's the same spirits that played all of those characters.
I'm just gonna tank this entire podcast by like really like at one point in season 4, I'm just gonna really lean into like, oh my gosh, Katrina, how is that possible? And like just
and like,
refuse
to listen to anyone who tries to stop me. Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say you're gonna tank the whole podcast by making like super homophobic remarks on the like on our Twitter or something.
That would be a surprise coming from Jimmy.
You just said tanked, and I was like, our reputation. Like, that's what I thought.
You were going to get us canceled? Yeah.
Exactly, yeah, that's what I thought you were going to say.
Okay. Before we move into what's next, because I feel like we've been dancing around season 4, and we'll get to that.
Yeah.
I do feel like we need to take a little bit of time to honor one character with 2 questions.
Okay.
Leprechaun Boy has asked us both of these questions. He said, "What's your favorite moment of Quis? Rest in peace."
Aw,
and also, explain to us your feelings about killing of Quis. So which one do you guys want to do first?
Let's do sad first and then favorite moment.
Sure.
Okay. So your feelings about killing of Quis, which we could actually talk about how we even got to that point. Do you want to talk about that, Jake?
Yeah. I mean, Nathan and I had talked about, season 3 we knew was going to be the last season with these characters, and we knew we needed to keep like building stakes, because we had talked about how largely unopposed we were as characters. Like, the stakes were not necessarily dire. Besides Eloise, we were on kind of just a snowball of an adventure, you know?
Right.
And we really needed a big crisis to motivate that big ending. And we had talked about kind of all of the characters of like, if any of them were to go, and really all of them still had loose ends to tie up except Quis. And the more we talked about it, the more we talked about his arc of his connection with Mirjik, to becoming Conquest, to becoming resurrected, to fighting his own demons. It seemed like he would be the perfect one to have his climax, his crescendo, be the redemption of Leroy, and at the cost of himself.
Yeah, it was a combination of, I knew I wanted Leroy to have a turn.
Yeah.
And I wanted someone to die because we had killed a character and then we brought him back to life. And I was like, I hate when stories do that. And we just did that. So I need someone to die for real.
There were other reasons for that, but yeah.
And I just, because I wanted someone, I appreciate stories when they do that as a story enjoyer.
Sure.
So that's why I wanted to kill somebody off. And Quis was just the best one for that. And also, in my original thoughts of the finale, I knew I wanted Raynor to go into the heart of Anima to speak with the lover. Mm-hmm. But in my mind, the only way we can get in there is by becoming Anima. So then I thought Raynor would have to die too, and it'd be him and Quis in the heart. So that way all three of us could be in the scene.
Interesting.
But then you guys you're like, we're gonna fucking break it. And I was like, well, I guess that's what we're doing. Yes, and right, we're all going in.
I'm gonna wreck it.
And so that's what we did.
Funny.
And I think it worked out well as
interesting.
But yeah, as far as him dying,
still very sad.
Very sad.
Definitely.
When Jamie put that little clip at the end,
my God, it ruined me. Wrecked me.
I did not know it was happening. Jamie sent me an email. He always sends me an email with the music files, and they're usually music files for whatever episode.
Right.
And he labeled this one Operation Make 'Em Cry. And as I was listening to the music, I'm like, okay, these are pretty good, but I don't know if this is going to make him cry. And then I listened to that last one, I go, fuck you. How dare you do this to me?
Yeah,
I was really happy with that. Well, I had the idea, and I really wish this is another way in which I wish that all of us involved in Knight's Quest magically had more time to do everything, because I had grabbed those. Those were all from episode 2.
I think they were episode 1.
Episode 1 and 2.
Might have been episode 1, yeah. And it would have been so cool if I had if I could have looked through all of the other Quist-centric arcs and scenes, stuff that happened later on in the show, some really heart-wrenching stuff.
Oh, sure.
And then at some point, 1, I realized there was just no time, and 2, I realized just sticking with the very beginning, that might be better, actually. Yeah.
I think it worked.
Yeah, no, I was really happy with how that turned out. If it wasn't obvious, and if we hadn't already said it, the entire scheme to kill off Quis.
The plot to kill Chris.
Yeah, the plot to kill him. I was not privy to that information. Nope. So I don't believe I suspected anything until Mirjik narrating said, and then you get maximum dice, fuck you, and you just got 5 super dice or some shit. And at that point I don't think I suspected I know what they're doing now. It was kind of just more that's weird. That doesn't normally happen. And then later, after the episode was over, I was like, oh, that was part of the thing.
I've gotten some flack from that one, and I I do think there probably could have been a better way that we went about it, but it was also very Mirjic too. So I don't hate it, but if I was were to write this all as a book, I think I would have written it differently.
It wasn't out of character for him or anything. In fact, I would argue that is exactly what he would do, but but yeah. This whole time I've been trying to nail down my favorite memories of Quis. Because
we got Hold This.
Hold This is
iconic,
really stellar.
Iconic.
Somebody sent us a video of somebody doing that at
yes,
that has broken out into the real
camp,
world.
Yeah.
That has that has traversed the meme event horizon. Yeah. There was something with the shits and giggles, and I wish I could remember it more clearly, because there was something with the omelets, and I think it was just him getting into an argument with someone about, so what do they want in it? And he was like, I don't know, eggs? And he was like, yeah, but, what else? And he's like, cheese? So I wish I could remember it better. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a very good bit.
I would need to re-listen to the show to track down some of the other ones, honestly. Just because, unfortunately, it's been a while.
Honestly, I think some of my favorite memories of Quis were when he was Conquest, the first ever attacking the Saltstone Manor with a chimera.
Oh my god, yeah.
I remember when we recorded that, I had pulled up a picture on my phone and I showed it to Nathan, and I texted, I was like, can I have one? And he was like, yeah, if you roll a fucking nat 20, and then I did.
Yeah, guess what happened right after that?
Yeah.
Oh, and that was another example of we did that all without telling Jamie, which is our favorite pastime.
100%.
And then teleporting and fighting a Mistwalker and all of his little
dungeon monster.
Yeah. And his
that
little
was crazy
side shoots in the dungeon, just coming back to him doing weird stuff. And then fighting Conquest was really fun.
Ooh, definitely.
Having that dichotomy, finally at the forefront coming together. But also his moments with Leroy from best buds on the same goal to finding out about the bakers and having Quis be the one that reaches out, and then at the end having Quis be on Leroy's side. That was big.
It's one of the most powerful moments in the whole show when he just really quietly says to the others don't blame Leroy, and it's right before he dies. It's just horrible.
Yeah. We will not forget Quis. Now I'm just thinking about everyone's last lines, because I think his actual last line is in the letter was oh, that was really hard to say.
Yeah.
It was something like that. And I love how Jonathan's last roll is a smithing roll.
Oh, it's the best.
Also, I don't know if this is going to come up in an offshoot, so I have to say it now. His new business is definitely called Bismuth. Like The Rock. Because it's Bismarck and Bismuth. So,
oh my god,
that's definitely going to be the name of his new business.
Well, there it is.
And it even sounds like you're doing a Quith related thing. Yeah. Wow, that works on a lot of levels.
And it also kind of sounds like business.
Yeah.
It does kind of sound like business. That's what I thought you were doing. Okay, now let's talk about the future. What's next for Knight's Quest? We have a couple questions about it, but I think I just need to say it to make it as clear as possible. Right. What's happening next?
We're shutting it down. We're done. Everything is over.
Burning it all. We're getting rid of the old episodes.
Stop. No. We need to make this very clear. There is a next. There is a more, but we're going to be taking a break first. So we're going to be starting a new story with new characters, same world, same game, same three of us, same format for the show, just different story.
Yeah.
And we're taking a break because of aforementioned moving, getting married, injuries.
Yes.
And we just, we're tired. We want to take a little break, and actually get this next story right. I don't want to rush it. I want us to record a bunch of episodes, have a nice stockpile, because that was something that over the past 2 years, we never really took a break.
It.
Yeah, we lost that stockpile, which
it's so
then
much
meant
more
we had to
difficult
really
than it sounds like it would be,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially adding the Patreon to it made it harder to rebuild that stockpile because that's just more stuff we had to release, which was great. But so that took time. So we're going to take a break. How long is that break? My optimistic estimate is maybe like 3 months.
Right.
Is my guess. Now, we're not going to be releasing nothing over that time. We'll still have a couple episodes come out on this of some like bonus stuff that we've recorded already. And there will still be Patreon episodes coming out every month. But yeah, there's probably going to be only one episode coming out on the main feed a month at best. You know, I don't want to force it. So with that next story, though, it will be, again, the same world, but it's going to happen earlier in time. We're going back in time.
In the timeline.
Yeah, back in time to the time of the Spirits War. It's not going to be about the Spirits War, but it's going to be happening during that time. And we're going to be following a crew of sailors. And we've kind of been talking about that a little bit. We haven't recorded anything yet, but we've been talking about what our characters could be. And so we're pretty excited about that. But the biggest change about the upcoming story, upcoming season, is that's going to be a different podcast.
Yes. Right.
Let me explain why we're doing that. We here at Night's Quest, we want the show to grow, right? We want more people to listen to the show because that makes the show better. More questions, more discussions on the Discord and on Facebook, and more memes, and maybe more patrons, which means more support for us and more support for you guys because then it means more merch or maybe live shows. It's better for everybody if we have more listeners. And we're well aware that one of the biggest hindrances to people listening to the show is episode 1 of season 1.
Gal darn episode 1.
Yeah. So we tried to dance around it by saying, oh, start in season 2. And people have told us, you can't, it doesn't work. You can't do it. Because there's too many inside jokes and it's a story. You can't start in book 2 of a story.
Right.
And so we're starting a new story. And so you could just say, oh, start here. But that gets complicated. And I know when I listen to a podcast, even when the podcast owners say to do that, I'm like, but there's going to be inside jokes. I'm going to be missing stuff. I'm going back to the beginning. And so people will do that naturally, especially if they just find the show and they don't have any, friends saying, oh, let's skip to this part. So it just gets messy. We want people to start at the beginning, but we don't want to delete anything we've created either because it's
absolutely
a great
not.
story.
Yeah.
So the only way we could do that is with a new podcast that would have a new episode 1 with now better editing because I know how to do that. Good music because now Jamie knows how to do that. And we know how to make a good podcast now. And so what that means logistically is the new show will be called Night's Quest. And the show you're listening to right now will be called Night's Quest Song of the Hero. Yeah,
we're gonna change the name retroactively at some point.
Yeah. It might have already been changed for you as you're listening to this right now.
Oh, there you go.
But we probably won't change it until the new show is up and ready. So timeline-wise, what's going to happen is you're going to listen to this nighttime. You're going to be like, wow, it's great. We're going to go on a break where we'll release an episode a month on the main feed and an episode on Patreon. And then at some point when we're ready to go, I'll drop a trailer here on the main feed. And at that point, you can go find the new show. You can subscribe to it. You'll also probably see the name change, new logo and all that. Then you can go to the new show and we'll start the new season there. Again, it'll just be called Night's Quest. Keep the same branding. Keep all that old jazz. But it will be a separate podcast. So we're asking you to all make the jump when the time comes. Some of you might have actually come from that one. I'm talking very far in the future now. You might have come from that one and you came back to listen. So welcome. And the whole goal too is that new show will be a place people can start at. So we won't have any inside jokes to this story. We won't be like, we will tell people to go back and listen to the story.
Yeah. It's not going to be all references.
7-level sack, huh? Yeah. It's a different time period, so that way nothing can be connected in that regard. So it's a great place for people to start. That's the whole point with that one. So that's the future in relations to season 4.
It's exciting.
So with that, we got a couple more questions about the future. Leprechaun Boy asked, are we going to get bonus episodes of the characters post-finale? In a similar note, Drew asked, will we ever get the life story of Rory and Reginald?
Wow.
That's one we've talked about.
Rory and Reginald.
It is. And I want to do it.
Stingo and Rar.
Stingo and Rar.
The dumbest dumbest jokes to create two great characters.
Yeah. Short version is yes.
Yeah.
I do want to do bonus episodes of characters post finale, as we alluded to in the epilogue. However, I think we're going to have to put it behind the paywall.
Oh.
Just because that's the only spot I can see myself motivated to do it enough. So if you want to know those things, you're going to have to pay us money.
I mean, that's kind of how business works. You want me to do a thing for you?
Well.
Money.
So to current and future patrons, that'll be a thing we usually do. Actually, let me step back. For those of you who aren't patrons, what we do is we do little polls every now and then saying, hey, what kind of content do you want in the future episodes?
Khajiit has wares if you have coin.
And we do our best to stick to those.
Right,
Sometimes we can't stick to it as nicely as we like due to recording issues. But for the most part, we get them out. And so that'll be a new option. We'll be like, hey, do you want to have a post-finale episode? Or do you want it to be another Quilber quest where we go back in time in history? Or what other random stuff?
Right.
You know, the Reginald and Rory episode. So if you want to listen to those episodes, you're going to have to go to Patreon, patreon.com/KQPodcast, or go to KQPodcast.com and click the Patreon button. So many ways. So many great content. And if you're feeling like you're lacking in episodes during this break, we've got, I think, 12 right now. 12 Patreon episodes.
And they're all phenomenal.
Damn, have we already been doing Patreon for an entire year?
That's right,
wow,
sir. We have. So hop on over those. And I want to do a Reginald and Rory one. And I want to do ones of everything we alluded to in the epilogue.
Right.
Those will just take time to get out. But eventually. The last question I have for us, and again, we'll answer more questions in the Patreon nighttime. So another reason you should go over there. I'm really plugging this hard today.
Yeah, we are making that money, or at least we're begging for that money, rather.
Please give us money.
I'm embodying Terrence in this moment.
Oh, wow, that's a throwback.
Yeah.
Yep.
Are there any ideas that you want to implement for characters for season 4? It's from Leprechaun Boy on Discord.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well,
gotcha. Yeah.
Though to be fair, we have also discussed the benefits of like, okay, now hold on, take a step back. Sometimes the best parts of character creation happened in the moment, and let's not try to draw up too much before we start. You know.
Yep.
So that's been an interesting question to go over.
I have wanted to explore animal hybrid races.
Ooh,
because it seems like every type of like fantasy fiction has some sort of creature that is like a half man, half something else, or as a melding of two things. And I always find that so interesting in how those species work in like cultural dynamic as well as like socially. And so that's something that I've been wanting to do for a long time, and I want to explore that in season 4.
Excellent.
Yeah, as far as I don't want to give away too much, but I definitely want to have a character, because we're going back in time, who is Usra. Like that's something I really want to do.
Definitely, yeah.
And I want to explore the other fantasy races, like Jake said, that we've alluded to, but not maybe seen, and make up some new ones. And I want to have a really silly, campy arch villain of our main characters.
Excellent.
I want to have like a Team Rocket style.
Oh, that'd be so fun. Are you
love
kidding
to
me?
hate him kind of silly villain.
They
who
think
in the
they're
end
our arch
becomes
nemesis.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, their arch nemesis, who is not actually their arch nemesis. Like
he's not the big bad.
He's not the big bad, but like he's just there to like be annoying. I want that so bad.
Such a great dynamic.
I haven't landed on many traits that I definitely want to have in a character for the upcoming one. The only one that I'm really trying to hold on to, because I really like how it could turn out, is I just want to play someone who is relatively older. Like in the run of Knight's Quest, most of our main characters ended up being, or at least kind of seeming like they were all relatively around the same, like 20 something, right?
Yeah, right.
And I really like the idea of one of my characters being, they might not be human, but like in human terms, more middle-aged. And I think that has a lot of, yeah. I like the idea of a hero in this kind of story who has seen a lot more of life, has more, just like I don't know. I mean, I'm still working through it, obviously, but it'll be really interesting to see how that impacts like their perspective on stuff and things like that.
And you have a lot more opportunities with those characters to just throw shit into the world.
Yeah,
because they've seen it.
Yeah, they just know.
Yeah. Some of the funniest parts of our backstories have come up on like just some random whim of like, oh
like
yeah,
Gorf Ball.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
And that's something I want to do too with this next season is not have it be. Because I feel like with season 3, it was a lot of, here's the Nathan show of, I'm going to tell you about the world, and then Jamie and Jake explore that. I want this next season to be, hey, all 3 of us are going to be adding things, contributing things to the lore, the locations, the people, and just, you can say something and be like, yep, that's real now. Like real improv, this is how it works. And not being afraid to be like, oh, I don't want to step on Nathan's world building toes.
I didn't feel that way.
You're telling me I have to do work now? Ugh, it's not what I signed up for.
Clearly not.
Well, Nathan, I think we have 3 more questions.
What do you mean we have 3 more questions?
The same questions that we have at the end of every nighttime.
Oh shit!
Aww.
You're right. Well, it's 2 questions.
Oh, this is gonna make me cry. Well, it's the same 2 questions for 3 people, so it's kind of like 6 questions, I guess.
Okay. Oh, wow, I totally forgot about that. Thank you. What do you think will happen? What do you want to happen?
There was definitely a 3rd question.
Was there?
I'm pretty sure there was a 3rd question.
What was the 3rd question then, Dongle?
There's only 2.
I thought there was 3 questions. I thought it was, what do you want to happen? What do you think is going to happen? And then there was one more, but I could be wrong.
What are you afraid will happen?
All right.
What is your deepest
What's your biggest fear about Knight's Quest?
I feel like we've kind of answered those questions inadvertently, though.
Yeah.
When we talked about our characters.
Yeah, I can't think of anything in particular I would add in that I haven't already said, I don't think.
What I want to happen is I want to have the same energy as we did on episode 1, and I want to throw things in. I want to build. I want to just have like crazy stuff happen and just have that be what it is.
Right.
And what I think is going to happen is it's going to be weird right away, but I think probably pretty quickly we'll settle into things and it'll be just fine.
Yeah, we probably will need to anticipate at least a little bit of a feeling of like, this isn't Knight's Quest. This is weird. Yeah, like we're screwing this up somehow. And I think we kind of just have to roll with it and ride it out.
We just gotta run in, yeah.
I get it, because dice.
Yeah. And eventually we will get back into that groove. Or find a new groove, yeah.
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree. I want to just tell more stories in this world. I have at least 4 more seasons worth of big story concepts in my head at the moment that I would love to do.
Okay.
Including this upcoming one. And that doesn't mean only 4. That's just where I'm at right now, and there'll be more that come up later. So I just want to tell some freaking stories with you guys. That's what I want to do. What I think we're going to do? I think we're going to do that.
Well, there we go.
It's going to be a lot of fun. So, and I think it's going to be really silly. It's going to be really stupid. And we're going to tell a lot of dumb jokes. And we're going to end up getting attached to these characters again. And we'll be sad to see them go.
Yeah.
Because that's how life is.
Because we were talking about ideas for like new upcoming seasons. We still need to get to the like season 100 episode 255 that we did in the cold open, where we were describing this like fantastical fight scene with like ridiculousness happening. Like we need to get to that at some point.
We're talking about the one where all of our characters were like war torn and had like missing arms and shit. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
I do have that in the canon of the story.
Good. Yeah,
there's a time and place for that.
We need to have a bonus episode or a new season. I don't give a shit.
If we get to a season 100, we're going to either
season 100
be ancient or have really cranked up our production time.
Seasons.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I have no idea how long future seasons are going to be. I genuinely don't know.
Or we just put season 100 in the middle. We just do a time jump.
All right, yeah, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 100, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. It's like the Xbox.
We're not supposed to have this.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's like the Xbox naming system.
Yeah, exactly.
Knight's Quest 100.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for joining us here in our little nighttime.
Yeah.
I'll reiterate myself. There'll probably be more episodes in this feed, but not frequent. I don't know when the next one's going to come out. So, sorry. I cannot help you with that. But I think the next one will be us doing the book club again.
Yes.
Because we've already recorded that.
I cannot express how much I'm looking forward to this.
Me fucking too.
So, us reading the original book.
I listened to that thing, Jamie, that you sent me
It's
so much. And I laugh every fucking time.
So, look forward to that. And then, patrons, thank you for your support. We love you. If I have actual announcements, I'm going to cut in around here somewhere and say them. Right. If not, yeah, thanks for the questions. You guys are the best.
Yeah.
Couldn't have done this without you. Can't believe we did this Q&A without crying.
Thank you for sending in everything, guys. Yeah.
These questions were awesome.
This is really fun.
All right. Any final words, boys? Otherwise, I'm going to wrap it up. I'll be Mr. Chance. It's over. Bye.
Yeah.
What's that bit? I'm trying to think of that bit in like the first Harry Potter where he's like, and now I would like to say a few words. And then he just literally lists random words. Like, Liberty
Cerebellum.
Yeah.
Peanuts.
Spatula.
Hey there, Questies. It's me, Nathan. Thank you for listening to that nighttime Q&A episode. I do got a couple quick announcements just to clarify. Yes, the next episode that's going to come out will be a bonus filler episode of us returning to the original book, which I'm now going to call Book Club, because calling it like OG was getting confusing. So Book Club 3 will be coming out, but it will be a while. It's going to be about a month. It's going to come out on March 10th, so exactly 1 month after this one. So if you're like, wow, that was a long time between the finale and this nighttime, well, that's going to be the amount of time it's going to be between episodes. Unless you are a patron on our middle tier, where you will get a second episode every month, and I'll try to have it come out on those off weeks, so you still get a Night's Quest episode every 2 weeks, and you will get to vote. You'll get to choose. It could be silly stuff. Well, they're all silly stuff, I guess. But it could be random one-shots. It could be post-epilogue content, or something in between. We have a lot of fun episodes, plus a whole backlog of now 13 episodes. The next Patreon episode that's going to come out in February will be the continuation of our nighttime discussions, where we answer the rest of the questions that were sent in. So if you want to get that content, maybe even just for a couple months during the break, we want that extra content, you can always unsubscribe from Patreon whenever you want. You can go to kqpodcast.com, click on Patreon, or go to patreon.com/kqpodcast. Both will get you to the same link. Otherwise, again, thank you all so much for listening. Thank you for your support. If you do have questions, about the upcoming season, what that logistically looks like with the podcast, you can always send those our way, and we'll do our best to answer those. But more details will come when that's ready, which will likely be in a couple months. So, sorry for the break, but we need it to rest. And I guess it's a good time to go back and listen to old episodes or join the Patreon. And of course, I do got to thank our better tier patrons, Lowell, Long May He Reign, Mike, and those dang high elves again. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you to all of our patrons for keeping this show going. Okay, that's all I've got. May your place in his story belong.
Are you good? Everything?
Yeah, it's my laptop. It's louder than I thought.
It looked like you were having a conniption.
Yeah, well, your laptop is making noises. How are the tables?
Shut the fuck up.
Oh, the turntable.
Shut the fuck up. Shut you held your mouth.
Shut the hell your mouth.
Shut the hell.